I call the member for Orange.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Tonight I rise to advocate for a simple yet life-saving measure that could prevent the tragic deaths of children and vulnerable people across New South Wales. In the past years, we've seen the heartbreaking loss of young lives due to choking incidents, deaths that may have been preventable with the right intervention. Among them was 5-year-old Imogen Lennon, who tragically choked on a Frankfurt in January 2023 in Tumbarumba, and despite her mother being a paramedic with 35 years' experience, she was unable to save her daughter. In February 2024, Zahir or Zaza Bawaga, a toddler from Western Australia, lost his life in a similar choking accident. And closer to home, we in the Orange community are still mourning the tragic loss of a 7-year-old boy, Declan Hayward, who choked at Glenroy Heights Public School in July 2023. And despite immediate efforts to clear his airway and medical intervention, Declan suffered catastrophic brain damage due to oxygen deprivation and tragically did not recover. These tragedies are a brutal reminder of how quickly a choking emergency can escalate into a fatal situation. Statistics show that choking is the second leading cause of preventable death in children under 14 and a significant risk for the elderly and people with disabilities. And current protocols rely on back blows, abdominal thrusts and chest compressions. Even the blind finger sweep, another common method, can push obstructions further down the airway, increasing the risk of fatality. In contrast, LifeVac, a suction-based airway clearance device, has no recorded adverse effects. LifeVac has been shown to be effective in rapidly removing airway obstructions in pre-hospital settings, improving neurological outcomes when used before emergency responders arrive. Studies conclude that LifeVac has successfully prevented deaths in hundreds of real-world cases around the world, and this device is TGA registered in Australia and is already being deployed in some care facilities. However, its availability remains inconsistent across the state. Current first aid guidelines instruct caregivers and educators to immediately call AAA when a choking emergency occurs. However, in regional electorates like mine, we know all too well that emergency responders can take several minutes, sometimes far longer, to arrive at the scene. Brain death can begin within 4 to 6 minutes of oxygen deprivation due to choking. In a large number of fatal choking cases, the difference between life and death is the speed and effectiveness of intervention before paramedics arrive. And that is why adding LifeVac to first aid response protocols could save lives. The cost of equipping all schools, early childhood centres, aged care facilities in New South Wales with LifeVac devices is minimal compared to the immeasurable cost of losing a child or vulnerable person to choking. For less than $250 per device, institutions could have a non-invasive, easy-to-use emergency backup option. Furthermore, integrating LifeVac training into first aid courses would provide educators, caregivers and first aid responders with another critical tool to combat choking incidents. This is not a replacement for existing first aid protocols, it's a vital addition. Mr Speaker, I urge the New South Wales Government to take immediate action by mandating an evaluation of LifeVac and other airway clearance devices for use in schools, childcare centres and aged care facilities, funding the provision of LifeVac devices in public schools, care facilities and regional hospitals, integrating LifeVac training into accredited first aid qualifications for teachers, childcare workers and aged care staff. Declan's story is heartbreaking, as are too many others, and their families will never stop grieving, but we must do what we can to prevent further families going through and enduring the same pain. And I'd like to acknowledge Declan's mother, Katrina Hayward, who I met last week at my office, and Councillor Tammy Greenhow, Deputy Mayor of Orange City Council, for their efforts in raising awareness in relation to this issue and advocating for these devices in our schools. Mr Speaker, let's act now to ensure that every possible life-saving measure is available to protect our most vulnerable. Thank you, Mr Speaker.